But the reason I brought up Sean Feucht, the reason I brought up Eric Metaxas is because I am them in so many ways. But I also realize that we can't be so afraid of crossing the boundary, the made-up political right-wing, left-wing boundary when it comes to this issue. This is not a political issue. This is people's lives. Hey, what's up, guys? Blaise here. Hope you're doing well. I've got some thoughts for you guys tonight. I want to hit on a few things that happened in the past few days with Twitter, with Eric Metaxas, number 1, and then Sean Feucht, number 2, and Julie Royce, number 3. Sean Feucht, Julie Royce, kind of the same within number 2. But just want to give some thoughts here and kind of shooting from the hip tonight. It's just me. Christina's got the kiddos tonight downstairs, and she's rounding up the 3, and I am impressed, as always, with her. Listen, though, I appreciate all of you tuning in and appreciate the comments and then the messages we've been getting. We've been having some great conversations with some of you in the comments as well as private messages we're getting, and I'm really appreciative of the private messages where people are telling us their stories. Because those are the things that impact us the most in regards to this situation with IHOP Kansas City and what's gone on there and what's going on now and the way they're handling everything. But all the stories that are coming up is what's mind-blowing for me, watching all these stories pop up. But I was going to do a short about this today. I thought, you know what, instead of doing a short, let's do a long. Okay, that's what I thought. Let's do a long, right? Let's spend a little extra time on this topic because I really feel like it needs to be addressed. And I want to talk tonight about the political divide within the sexual abuse allegations topic. Okay, the political divide regarding sexual abuse allegations. All right. First and foremost, when I think back, okay, I have never in my life been accused of being woke. Like, never. And we discussed this on our last couple podcasts a few times ago, and Christina was like, you are being called woke? That is so weird to me. And the reason is because back whenever Christina and I were living in Asheville, which would be called the Portland of the South, we lived in Asheville, North Carolina for a while. We ran a business that was for entrepreneurs, and it was for artists and entrepreneurs, and mainly like all of our friends were super liberal. And at that time, I had gone through kind of a deconstructing season, which if you watch the video that I did just me a few nights or last week sometime about deconstruction, you can kind of hear that story. But I went through a deconstruction season, and so we were living there, and most of our friends are non-Christians. And as I would start to have conversations, they were like ultra liberal, like ultra liberal. And for me, I was always being conservative growing up. And so, what I did was I opened up my heart to these people in a sense that goes, you know what, I'm gonna be their friend, and I'm going to listen instead of just like tell them they're all wrong all day. And so it was actually a very valuable season for me in that time. However, what I came to conclusion about over time period, especially in 2016, because we were running that business in 2016, and we had subscribers to our business, and it was we had a co-working space and some other things going on. And I just remember when the election came about. And so just to give you a little clue into who I am, because people literally go, oh, dude, you're just one of the woke mob. You're one of the #MeToo, and you just want to believe every single allegation that ever comes out. You must be part of the woke mob. So in 2016, I remember I started to like look at the political landscape, and I had all these people telling me they were going to vote for Bernie Sanders and all this stuff, and I actually considered, like, I thought about it. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I was like, that's a terrible idea as I started to look at it. But then the two candidates were Trump and Hillary, and I was looking at the whole thing. I started to look at her background more and more and just start to dig in, and I made a few comments online about Hillary Clinton. I didn't even make any comments about Trump. I just made them about Hillary. I was like, it's probably like September or October of 2016, or maybe earlier. No, it was actually much earlier. And I went, that's a bad idea. Have you guys thought about this, or this? And I just mentioned some things about Hillary Clinton and her history and all that. And like, I'm telling you, we were done with that business within about 3 to 5 months. We got completely canceled simply because I said it's not a good idea to vote for Hillary Clinton. And here's why. So I'm giving you that background on me so that you know kind of like the mindset of the person you're listening to. And I'm not just like, okay, always like all Republicans are great and all Democrats are terrible, because that's not me either. Fact of the matter is, I'm very, very aware of the massive systemic problems on both sides. And I'm definitely more conservative politically, but when it comes to like Republicans and Democrats, I know that there's corruption like on both sides. There's child trafficking. There's all kinds of just corruption on all sides. I'm super aware of that. I do remember in 2018 when the Me Too movement happened. I just remember I got very, I was very like in the political mindset, and I started watching this and I went, oh my gosh, so is this just like a thing where they're trying to like stop, affect the election or something, or I just remember it was very confusing. So as a conservative minded male, okay, most men, when they see these types of allegations, conservative minded males are like, are they just trying to pull something off, take somebody's money, this, that, or the other? And if you have been a victim, I'm sorry that I ever thought that way. I'm sorry that that was like my reaction, but I'm telling you that this is, I guess I'm going there because as I'm reading some of these tweets, I understand where these guys are coming from, but I don't agree with them at all. And so, for instance, Eric Metaxas, he comes out and, which I love his stuff on American history, and some of you guys might be like, oh my gosh. That's the thing about this whole thing with IHOP Kansas City and the allegations. I believe Jane Doe, and I know there's more than one Jane Doe. And I believe, unfortunately, and some of you guys have said, why are you so astounded that Mike Bickle would do this? I'm like, dude, bro, don't pretend like you just knew he was so corrupt. Just because the man's theology was so against yours or whatever, that doesn't mean that he's abusing women left and right. Just because somebody's theology is bad, like literally, there's a Baptist pastor, Baptist Reformed pastor that just was outed for like massive perversion stuff. So I mean, this stuff is all over the board. Like, so don't pretend like, oh, you just knew that this was going to come out. Like, I see comments like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Look, it's out now, and we know. So like, wherever you were on the spectrum before, as far as your ideas or opinions on I could care less. There's no winning here. Like, oh, I always knew that Mike was bad. There's no champion in that. Like, who cares? Now we know based on testimony. And testimony, by the way, is evidence. Testimony is evidence. Okay? So, Eric Metaxas comes out with a tweet the other day and says, everything I've read and heard over the weeks has me believing that the initial accusations against Mike Bickle are deeply vile lies. I hope IHOPKC has leadership and guts to fully exonerate Mike and to bring the false accusers to repentance, but not holding my breath. #MeToo. So Eric, everything I have read and heard over the weeks has me believing. So I want to say, Eric, what have you heard and read? What is it that you've heard and read that has you believing these are deeply vile lies? What was wild about this is it was put out literally like 3 hours before the Roy's report. This was put out 3 hours before the Roy's report. And the Roy's report was the Jane Doe article coming out and telling her story, the very first one. So the timing of this tweet was two things in my mind. Number one, it was just bad for him because everybody got on there and was like, dude, did you read this? Have you read this article? Have you read this? Like, did you realize that there are so many people that are corroborating her story? I have people messaging us and saying, I was there. Oh, Blaise, this is crazy. I was there when this was happening. And it's bringing up all these memories. Like, this actually happened, okay? So anyway, He's saying everything I've read, da da da. So the one thing is that this was just bad timing. But the second thing I thought is, and who knows? Just me. Let me just be a conspiracy theorist just for a second. All you guys are too, right? Like, who's telling him to tweet this right before the Roy's report drops? Maybe it's just him. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, just that's where my mind goes a little bit, but I could be completely wrong. So anyway, Eric, conservative, Christian, right-wing dude. The normal response for the conservative, Christian, right-wing dude is, this is lies against a big-time conservative Christian leader that also supports, probably, I wouldn't be surprised if IHOP money goes toward Eric Metaxas' group or vice versa. And I'm not even saying that's bad if it does. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised because they are after the same political agendas. And so... And I'm not even saying that those agendas are bad. I'm just saying that it's clear that they are on the same side. So the guy at the top of, Eric Metaxas is looking at the guy at the top over here and going, oh, he's just being accused so somebody can get money. He's just being accused so this, that, or the other. It's vile lies. And instead of actually listening to the victim, to the one bringing the allegations, the Jane Doe, he's just completely false. So that's the first tweet I want to address, and he's entitled to his opinion. And I guess what I'm saying is, I guess I've been there before. I've been there to where when I see something like this, my mind would immediately go toward, oh, they're just attacking another strong right-wing, Christ-centered leader. And this is what they do in the woke mob. And they all just start attacking him. They want the downfall of, Christian conservative men, leaders. The woke mob wants the downfall. Why does this have to be the woke mob? What if this is just a real story? Did you know, Eric, that that Jane Doe is also known by one of quite a number of strong conservative men that were next to Mike for 20 years, and they're now corroborating her story, and that she's a verified, valid character, strong witness to this abuse, and they verify that? Did you know that, or did you read them too, or are you just thinking that these guys are out to get a vendetta against Mike? Because actually, in the grand scheme of everything in churchianity and Christianity and charismatic Christianity, it actually does not help these guys that are standing with Jane Doe. It doesn't help their ministries. It doesn't help their reputations. It doesn't help them at all. Because Mike is a very wealthy and powerful person. So anyway, let's move on from that one. Let's go to Sean Feucht. Sean Feucht. Now, I actually really like Sean Feucht. Some of you guys might be really annoyed by that, but I've always really liked Sean. I met Sean years ago in 2007 when I was working at a big ministry called Teen Mania down in Texas, and they sent me. I was leading the prayer and worship movement at this ministry before I went to IHOP, and they sent me to Dallas for this ultra prophetic conference thing. And I ran into Sean and I met him there, and he had just started the 24/7 burn. And anyway, super cool guy, just loves the Lord, loves his family. I really have liked this guy a lot. Again, this might bother some of you guys, but that I would even say that. But anyway, so I'm just giving the background. I really like Sean a lot. He's blessed my life a lot, and I believe he's done great things in our nation and for the Lord. So again, that might trigger some of you and annoy some of you, but that's just, we're all got our own story, right? So for those of you that follow me and follow my wife and I, and you're like, we stand for Jane Doe, we believe Jane Doe, and you're of completely opposite, opposite political views, but also spiritual views and religious views. At this point, some people have completely deconstructed and literally ditched their faith in Jesus at this point. And I'm just glad that you guys are still, listening with an open heart. I actually appreciate it. And honestly, what I also appreciate is that you're standing for Jane Doe. I appreciate that more than somebody that's spirit-filled and on fire for Jesus and will not believe it if a so-called spirit-filled on fire for Jesus leader had abused a 19-year-old and they won't stand for her. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. That's like millstone neck stuff, right? That's like the quotes of Jesus stuff. Like, I'm not talking about theologically and eternity and soteriology and the bigger things, because those things matter eternally. But these things matter as well right now. It's super important. Like, what if this was your daughter that you sent to an internship to get mentored by a end times guru that loves Jesus, and you're like, yeah, my daughter's in good hands. And you find out 20 years later that those hands were in the wrong places. So I'm going to hit this tweet of Sean Feucht's. Sean retweets Julie Royce from the Royce Report. Update on Giving Tuesday. We exceeded our goal. Your support, including a few checks we tallied today, put us over the top. Julie's doing what everyone else is doing on Giving Tuesday that's in any kind of nonprofit work or whatever. So Sean reposts her and says, help us dig up dirt on all believers we hate and spread unending division in the body of Christ. Your donations will go toward hard-hitting journalism like discovering a bush trimming violation from Sean Feucht 10 years ago that everyone must know about. I actually enjoy half of this tweet. And then he puts a clown face. I actually enjoy half this tweet. But, so I don't really know the story behind that, but apparently Julie Royce called out Sean Feucht for like a bush trimming violation years ago, 10 years ago. Can somebody like put that link here and tell me what the heck that's all about? I would actually love to read that. I should have read it before, because I read this yesterday, but I just didn't think about looking that up. So what is it? I know the dude's I know Sean hunts. He's always posting hunting pictures and stuff. So I'm sure it had something to do with like maybe hunting on private land or who knows, or like bush trimming. Like, what does that even mean? That's probably like a hunting phrase, or I don't know. Anyway, but he goes on and he does another tweet and he says, there are biblical ways to navigate church controversy. I actually hope Sean listens to this. Sean, if you're listening to this, just please know that I love you, dude, and I appreciate you. And there are many things that I like, probably 99%, bro. I'm leaning like strong with a lot of what you do and support you, pray for you. I don't want to lie. I don't pray for you like every day or anything. I probably said a prayer for you. But I will pray for you. But anyway, I appreciate you. I love what you're doing. But I want you to just think through this, if you would humbly listen to me for just a moment. There are biblical ways to navigate church controversy and hidden sin discovered in church leadership. I agree. There are biblical ways to do it. Those do not include running to leftist journalists with low integrity, bad character, who hate the spirit-filled church. We must do better than this. Sean, I agree that we must, as the church, do better than having to run to any journalists. I don't know why you're going leftist journalists with low integrity. I'm not sure why you're doing that. Bad character who hates the spirit. Like, is that verified, or is that like, why are you going there? Why are you doing that? I don't know that she hates the spirit-filled church. I don't know that she has low integrity, Sean. Like, maybe you have like a reason for saying that, or a story or something that doesn't, I don't know, but it just feels kind of like this like low ball attack, honestly. And it just feels like I don't get it. But I'll say this. I get where you're coming from, saying there's biblical ways to navigate church controversy and hidden sin discovered in church leadership. Sean, there are. Sean, I was in IHOP Kansas City for 4 years. Okay, I was on Night Watch leadership. This is back 2008. I was 25 years old till I was 30 years old. And I worked directly I met with Stuart Griefs consistently. I worked on his leadership team in the Night Watch. And now he is the head of the ELT, the CEO, leader, whatever you want to call it, of all of IHOP Kansas City. He is the front man for right now what's happening. And the problem, Sean, I don't know, Sean, if you've seen the Roy's report. You probably haven't read the Roy's report because I know you don't like her. But I do know that you're the type of guy that will listen to any news, even if it's fake news, just to see what they're saying. So, Sean, I would encourage you to read the Roy's report and just hear Jane Doe's testimony, because Jane Doe is somebody that you could have worshiped with. Dude, I would not even be surprised if you had been in a prayer meeting with Jane Doe like sometime 20 years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if you had been around this person at a time, because she was a person at IHOP Kansas City 20 years ago, and she was there for a while. So, and she was known by Alan Hood and Dwayne Wright, like all these people. She was known by Stuart Greaves, all these people. So I would encourage you to read that first. And here's the problem is the husband, okay? The husband, imagine this something like this happening to your wife, and you wanting to go to Mike with a witness to confront this, and he says, no, I don't want a witness to this. You have to come alone. And so there can't even be a witness to document the conversation. So he goes and he has this conversation, and then afterward there's this email exchange, this long email exchange, and in that email exchange, bro, there's like all these like veiled threats from Mike. You can look at the actual email. You have to open the link to the Roy's report, so you would have to add traffic to her site. But if you want to look at Mike Bickle's email to the husband of the person that says that she was sexually abused as a 19-year-old when he was 42, and the relationship went for 4 years, and there's verified things to show that they were together at those times. So like, if you're open to reading it, I would encourage you to read Mike Bickle's emails about this, because he goes on this tangent, bro. He goes on this tangent, and we covered the email and read through the email on our last episode. If you don't want to go read it and you just want to listen to us read it, because my wife and I, we just read it. You can go read that and hear it, and I think you would be very surprised and concerned. Mike was my hero for a long time, but man, heroes fall. Heroes fall, and the problem is that if the body of Christ would actually do things in a way that would, here's the problem. Mike wouldn't meet with his former leadership team. Imagine you're burned 24/7. You got a board of directors, guys you've been running with for years, and they have an issue with you, and they say, hey, Mike, we need to meet with you about some allegations. And you say, no. I'm not going to, or they say to you, Sean, we need to meet with you about, and you're like, no, I'm not meeting with you guys. You can meet with Stuart, or just one of you can come and meet with me. Or have the person that has a problem with me email me. Have the girl that says I did something email me. Like, so he's literally like bouncing around using Matthew 18 to run guard when these guys are going, no, we need to meet with you. Three of us need to come and talk to you about this. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. So yeah, bro, like the church does have ways to do things. And unfortunately, these guys are all lawyered up now. And they were literally asking, hey, please allow a third party to come in and do the investigation. Like the former leaders that are the advocates for the victim, okay? They're literally asking for a third party. Stuart, would you please just hire an independent third party? Yes, we'll do it. It's been like 39 days, bro. No independent third-party investigation. So they literally force the hand of these people to have to go to the media, Sean, because nothing's going to be done. I watched this happen, Sean, in the Brad Tebbett report, 2019. If you haven't read that, there's a report out that they hired a man that had sexual relationship with a minor years ago, and they hired this man, and now a third-party investigative team came in and investigated and found that this guy was still on their staff, even though they knew this was the case, and they recommended that IHOP fire him, and they didn't. So guess who left? Alan Hood left. He was like, I can't be in this. Why? Because I got kids. So this is the way they handle things there, Sean. So why would they invite a third party to come in now? They're not going to. So we're saying, I'm hearing your tweet. There are biblical ways to navigate church controversy and hidden sin. Yeah, that's if the leaders are actually submitted to Jesus and submitted, not just lording over the sheep, but submitted to the body of Christ together and listening to other people holding them accountable. But these guys won't listen. Dr. Michael Brown's been like pounding them consistently. And honestly, I don't even like the way Michael Brown's saying that he's doing this, that, or the other. It's not changing anything about the way IHOP is actually moving. So I'm saying all this to say that maybe, and I'm not like probably if this had happened a few years back when I was there, I might have come out swinging and said the same thing. Oh, look, these people are just running to a left-leaning journalist or something like that. But I'm telling you, man, I think that your tweet was your tweet was not. I don't think it's landing on truth, dude. I don't think it's landing on I think it's a misinformed tweet. That's what I'll say. I think you don't know the story of what's going on here, and this is something that won't age well. But I'm not mostly saying it to call you out. I guess what I'm saying is for those of you out there that have a hard time believing women, again, remember when I started this 25 minutes ago, I said I have always been more of a right-wing, conservative, Christian male, that I'm more so leaning toward the type of person that thought that Me Too was all about just trying to possibly get rid of Donald Trump or something like that. So that they could get, Joe Biden in office in 2020 or something like that. I just thought that was probably what it was all about until Me Too starts to hit home. And then you're like, dang, this actually does happen. This happens, and we do mishandle women that are abused. And I just had a call with a guy recently. And he was like, dude, someone in my family was recently at a ministry and was sexually abused. And when this person came to the leadership, they didn't believe it because it was from a leader. And so they were like, yeah, we don't believe you. We just believe you have issues. And so, and I've had so many people message us since we've done our podcast on all this stuff. And it happens. It's out there and it happens. And unfortunately, there are biblical ways to navigate this stuff, but it's not being done. It's not being done. This whole idea of the quick restoration thing, these guys do stuff, then we're like, okay, 6 months, a year in, we're like, okay, you're restored, go back out there. Honestly, I think it needs a complete reform and a complete look over, and what are we doing? Anyway, I hope this is helpful for you guys a little bit. But the reason I brought up Sean Feucht, the reason I brought up Eric Metaxas is because I am them in so many ways. But I also realize that we can't be so afraid of crossing the boundary, the made-up political right-wing, left-wing boundary when it comes to this issue. This is not a political issue. This is people's lives. This is let's just say for a second, guys, that maybe Jane Doe, who was an on fire for Jesus young lady that went to IHOP to be mentored by Mike and to be around the prayer room and to seek Jesus. Let's just say that her story is true and that it happened. Let's just say it did. If that's the case, how devastating that she's had to carry this for 25 years. She's carried this for 25 years. And then people go, well, has she sinned, Blaise? Wouldn't you say she sinned? Don't you think she needs to repent? That whole line of thinking, that is not even the conversation on the table. We're not talking about a person that does she need... Literally, she's coming out with this story. Their ministry, her and her husband's ministry, has been supported by Mike Bickle and IHOPKC, verified in Mike's email to Jane Doe's husband. So this is not something that she's going to get all kinds of money for. They're literally losing money for it. Like Mike said, if she comes out with this, I'm not going to fund your ministry anymore because it could look like I'm trying to bribe you. It's like, what have you been doing for 25 years or 20 years? But let's just say this is true. How devastating that she had to carry this. I think about my daughter. She's 6 years old. She loves Jesus. She literally gives me prophetic words and has dreams. My daughter is just and I'm going, if I can't listen to somebody else's daughter and give them the benefit of the doubt and not just think, oh, it's just they're just trying to tear down a ministry. We just got to listen. We got to listen and we got to pay attention, and we can't be so quick to, like, when guys of the stature of Eric Metaxas and Sean Feucht come out and call things like this division and stuff like that, and come out and say, oh, this is vile lies, like Eric Metaxas says. Eric, what if somebody in your ministry or your business or your what if somebody in your corporation, organization is going through this right now and saw you post that and be like, oh, well, I guess Eric wouldn't believe me anyway, so I probably shouldn't bring this out to him, because I don't think he would believe me, because he said everything he's read is vile lies about this. Like, what is the message that we're sending to our daughters and our wives? Vile lies. Like, come on. I think we must, to quote Sean Feucht, church, we must not divide over this issue on a right and left wing thing. We must not. We must do better than this. All right, guys, that said, we'll be back with you likely in a day or two with a little bit more on Mike Bickle's emails here, and just break this down a little bit further for you. We love you guys. Peace out. Wake up and win. Wake up and win. Wake up and win. Wake up and win.